What I understand about likelihood ratio of a test, I like to share with you. So positive likelihood ratio, negative likelihood ratio, right? So what is positive likelihood ratio? So positive likelihood ratio is the ratio of true positive and false positive. True positive rate and false positive rate. So true positive rate is among the diseased populations and false positive rate is among the non-diseased population. So even if you see the formula of positive likelihood ratio, this is sensitivity by 1 minus specificity, and if you plug in true positive, false positive like those, then you will get true positive by true positive plus false negative divided by false positive by true negative plus false positive. What does it mean? It means it is the ratio of true positive rate and false positive rate. True positive among diseased populations and false positive rate among non-diseased population. So if some test has positive likelihood ratio of 10, so it means this has high positive likelihood ratio of the test. So this will increase the likelihood of the disease in the patient. It predicts post-test probability. We calculate post-test probability with pre-test probability, like you calculated your pre-test probability with clinical examinations of a patient and you say that my pre-test probability of this disease is this much, like 20%, let's say. And if positive likelihood ratio of that test is, let's say 10, the test you did is 10, then your post-test probability will increase markedly. It means that that patient has a high chance of disease, even though your pre-test probability is only 20, right? But since your likelihood ratio, positive likelihood ratio is high, it will increase the post-test probability. And what is negative likelihood ratio? Negative likelihood ratio is ratio, I mean to say that false negative rate divided by true negative rate. So false negative among diseased populations and true negative among non-diseased population. So this is always the ratio of the diseased to non-diseased populations. So here the numerator is false negative rate, false negative among the diseased population, and denominator is true negative among non-diseased population. So if your negative likelihood ratio is, let's say, 0.1, it is very low. So it will markedly decrease the post-test probability of the disease. Even if your pre-test probability of that disease might be like 80%, but since this test you did has negative likelihood ratio of only 0.1, so the post-test probability of that disease will markedly decrease. You can calculate that based on the nomogram that is available. I will show you that nomogram in another video. There you can plot the pre-test probability, likelihood ratio, and it will give you the post-test probability. So when the negative likelihood ratio decreases, as it becomes low, post-test probability decreases markedly. So if the negative likelihood ratio comes low, there is a strong evidence to rule out disease. I am again reiterating this in another words. So if negative likelihood ratio is very low, 0.1, 0.2, it means that there is a strong evidence to rule out disease. On the opposite side, if positive likelihood ratio is high, 10, 15, 20, then there is a strong evidence to rule in disease, right? You can confidently say that this patient has disease.